Okay, so when we need to add a signature to something and get the buyer to sign it, a good thing to do if you're not sure exactly how to fill out the form, feel free to ask anytime. And so to add information to a PDF, what we do is we go up here to add. This form, the contract was on May 28th. Seller certified that this was built before 1978 and has no knowledge of lead. The seller has no reports, so we need the buyer to acknowledge this. So you go up here to add initials, grab the initials box, shrink it up to the general size. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you assign the field, to the person who needs to sign. So we would get initials here. You know, you can even stretch it across. It doesn't really matter. Assign to Travis, who's the buyer. We can make this one bigger. It doesn't really matter, as long as it's in the general area. So he doesn't need to sign here because he did not receive copies of anything because there was nothing to receive copies of. And in this case, he has a 10-day opportunity to do inspections. And then he needs to sign. So we just go up here to add signature. Sorry, I'm in such a habit of doing this, it's not going down enough. So then we make a signature box here. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? So if it's like this, it's totally fine. If it's like this, it's totally fine. It just needs to be in a general vicinity of the buyer box. So, and then we go to assign field, and we assign it to Travis. Then we need to type his name, so we get a text box. We never assign the buyer to type anything. They only sign in here. It's possible for them to fill stuff out. And if you forget what his name is, you can just look up here. It's right there, Travis M. Payne. And so that is him. And then I have to sign this as well. So I'm the selling agent. I'm selling the property. The other agent is the listing agent. So when you are the buyer's agent, technically you're selling the property. So I can just sign now. Keep in mind that if I sign this and then I try to make a lot of changes to the form, it'll potentially delete my signature. So a lot of times it's best to do the typing part before you sign it. But anyway, sometimes it doesn't matter. So, okay, so here we are. We have assigned an initial to our buyer here and there. We filled out the form saying that he has an opportunity to do inspections. The contract date, I looked it up before I started this recording to make sure that was filled out, and then I signed it. So that is the lead-based paint. And then the next is an amendment. So I like to rename these forms kind of what they are. So we're going to go in here and rename this just lead-based paint, disclosure. Because when we're sending this to our buyer, they need to know what they're signing. So we want to call this amendment to correct seller signature location. And this is lead-based paint disclosure. This one, just we want to name, if we're sending it to our buyer, we want them to know what they're getting. So we got to just make sure these are named something and lead-based paint. So, okay, back to the amendment. Okay, so here's our amendment. Remove seller signature John Sprague from box on line blah, 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 and add it to blah, blah, blah. So basically this guy, he signed, his agent had him sign in the wrong spot. It happens all the time. So we just need to add our buyer's signature to this form. And then all amendments must be shared with lending and title. So any change to the contract, the lending and title always needs to know about it. And this is an amendment to our contract. So it's changing the contract. So we're going to assign this to Travis. We're going to add a text with his name. that is done. So we're going to save that. And then we'll go back here. You need to share these with Travis. So those two documents, we want to send them at the same time, and we're going to go share. And so we just make sure that Travis is assigned those fields. So there's 2 initial spots, and then there was a signature field on both documents. So that's why there's 4 fields assigned to him. We don't want to send it to any of these people yet because it's not signed yet. When I'm sending it for signature, I typically do not attach a PDF because sometimes then the buyer gets confused. They don't click on the link. They open the attachment and they're like, oh, I can't sign this attachment. Okay, so we just say, this is basically typing an email to the client. Travis, we need your signature to make a correction to the contract because the seller signed in the wrong box. Also attach the lead-based paint disclosure showing no prior knowledge of lead-based paint. Thank you. So if we didn't send this message, he would just get an email and it would just say, Jessica needs your signature on 2 documents, but he wouldn't know what we were asking him to sign. So quite often the client will call me and say, hey, what is this that you sent me to sign? So what I also recommend is copy this, and we're just going to go ahead and share. And then right here it pops up these documents have been shared, so you know that it's done. So I have this app, Mighty Text. And Mighty Text will allow you to text our clients. So basically, you just go on here and you can type his name because most of these people are saved in my phone. And he should pop up. And then you can just paste that same thing in there. And just add in, sent you an email for when you have time. Yeah. Okay. So then we just do, Travis, we need your signature to make a correction to the contract because the seller signed in the wrong box. Also the lead-based paint disclosure showing no prior need of lead-based paint. Sent you an email. Thank you. And then that is sent. So that's sent from my phone. Basically, it's handy to log in here. It's in Trello under Consuelo's list of all the logins, but it's the same as my Google login. So in order to be in here, you have to log into my Gmail account, and then you go to mightytext.net. And then you'll be logged into here and you can send text from my phone. So you can text the kids and it'll look like it's from me, which is pretty funny. What are you doing? That's it. So keep in mind that you have this feature at your fingertips. Anytime you send something to the client to sign, you know, if you send them a text, it would be really handy. They're much more likely to actually sign it because so many people don't actually pay any attention to their email, and they just, you know, they're not email people. So that's Mighty Text, and that is how to have a document